Hello. Vibing time. It is indeed. Vibing, playing Ace Attorney. That sounds good. Oh hey, you goth. I'm just trying something out. Poopin' fartin' is the better name for toilet, I agree. Poopin' fartin'. Also like the shard and shittin'. Or the I'm disappointed. I thought I'd have more names for the toilet. You look amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. What's your opinion on koi fish? They're pretty funny. They're pretty pretty. Pretty. Micronaft. I agree, Guto. Hey, Snakey, what's up? Perfect timing. It's 3 a.m. and I'm bored. Don't worry, you're gonna get more bored. I have chronic diarrhea. Help, it won't stop. Yeah, that's diarrhea for you. It won't stop. Just let it out, man. Let it out. You can't keep it all in there. I should be sleeping because it's 3 a.m. but funny man vibing. Oh no. I'm sorry about that. Knees are a privilege, not a right. What are we doing today, boy? Oh, we're doing what we do every day. We find some time for ourselves and simply vibe. Do nothing. It's one of the most important things you can do for your mind. Hell yeah, Mattias. It is vibing time indeed. I aspire to replace my bones with knives, so if anyone tries to stab me, they'll get a surprise. And they've written in brackets, the knives. Drawing at the moment, trying to make a webtoon, but I can ignore it for now. How are you? Oh, don't stop on my account. You can draw while listening to my nonsense ramblings. I'm pretty good, actually. I've had a pretty good day. It's just like any other day, you know, it's ups and downs, but right now I'm pretty high up there. I do have a bit of a headache, but that'll probably settle down throughout the stream. But if not, then you're probably gonna watch me get high again. Yo, where can I buy the premium Dorito jar? In the Bronx, New York, apparently. Stop, put your hands in the air. I'm gonna have to vibe check you. Trick question. If I have to raise my hands higher than my head, then we are not vibing. I dropped my spaghetti, now I'm unhappy. I'm so sorry to hear that, Florencia. It's really fucked up. This is the first time I've seen you live. Although you could be saying this is the first time I've seen you live. The necromancers be like... Some necromancers say hello. I really had a really bad day, but it's time to vibe now. Yeah, just let it out. Let it unwind. You know, just like... Try and like... bend every single column of your vertebra when you stretch your back. Don't stretch too hard, but just like, you know, use all the spaces between your bones. Alright, you're clear. Yeah. Up and down, strikes and gutters. It's true. It's true. What's your opinion on spaghetti? It's alright. Yeah, it's not bad. Not my favorite Italian food. I'm a bigger fan of ravioli. Or like spaghetti with literally any other type of pasta instead of the noodly one. Or maybe ravioli spaghetti. That sounds good. Life and death, black and white, think about it. Think about it. It's so deep. Your fans will always love you. I appreciate that. SCP explaining daily videos. Yeah, I mean, it is like an abundance of love that I get in this sort of internet way. And it can get very overwhelming sometimes, and sometimes it can get really impersonal and detached, and I forget that, like, I'm connected to all these people, but undeniably, I am connected with all these people, even if it isn't in a deep, personal, meaningful way. To treat a headache, fill a container with warm water scented with calming oils and put your hands and feet in it with a cold cloth on the back of your neck, drawing the blood away from your head. Huh. Well, I just took an ibuprofen, so I'll just wait for that to kick in. 1, 2, 3. There you go, Kenji Crafts. I measure my sexual attraction based on how many bones the person could crack. I assume you mean when they're stretching, and not when they're physically murdering somebody with a hammer. When did you get into animation? I don't know, like 3, 5 years ago. Something like that. Something like that. Something crazy like that. I can't remember. My mouth tastes like teeth. Huh. I'll keep that phrase in mind. Your boyfriend is gorgeous, but I'm gonna have to hop on you. Why your hair look like metal dish scrubber? Other than that, you look amazing today, my man. It's, well, I do have silver hair, but this is mostly the filter. I'll put on a different one. See what they look like. It's not very goth, but it's kind of cute. Wait a second. Oh no. This motherfucker changes my face. I'm not about that. Okay. It's kind of shiny. Yeah, fuck it. Why not? I love Orion. It's my boyfriend. It's literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. Is like taking this plunge into a relationship once I felt ready, but like simultaneously not ready at the same time. Like I knew that I was healthy enough to be able to deal with being in a relationship, but I also had no idea just how deep that plunge was, and I don't regret anything. It's just incredible. And people have this really terrible idea of happily ever after that we've been taught growing up, of just like, now you're in this state of eternal bliss, you know, but it's like, no, it's like there's, life still goes on and life still throws these hardballs at you, and you suffer still. It's just that it's easier to get out now that you have somebody on your team, you know? It's easier to get out of the suffering and the problems when there's someone there telling you what you, reminding you who you really are, you know? We don't tell ourselves enough that we're good people. It's easier to remember it when when you're in a relationship, I guess. At least a healthy one. I can't believe Lord Bung is an emo femboy. Oh, okay. It's a fun set of words used. What? Watched all your animations lately. Thank you, Mr. Sage. I appreciate that. Minecraft cave noises for background when. Oh shit. The music hasn't been playing this whole time? Ugh. That's embarrassing. Let me fix that. No, that's well, wasn't it either. Hold on. Can you hear it now? Oh god. No, that's okay. Found from a friend. Appreciate you and hope things make your world brighter like your work made mine. It's really sweet of you to say. When is LEGO Star Wars stream happening? Is the new LEGO Star Wars out yet? Like the non-ontology? I don't know. Where it's all 9 movies bundled into one game. Is that one out yet? Alright, see you the Nailsmith. I appreciate you dropping by. How do we know there's only one layer to the Matrix? Oh, please go deeper with that idea. Pretty epic vibe now that I got music. Yeah, I heard it the whole time and I was vibing. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't check the desktop audio thingy. Hope the music's not too loud. Future music. This is human music. Cool music, Bong! Thank you, I just found it. Star Wars: The Skywalker Collection isn't out yet. Shame. It's Ben Day tomorrow. It's nice to see Bong again. Thank you, Rumble City, I appreciate that. What is this song? I love it so much. Free streaming music, Lost in Paradise, retro wave, synthwave, royalty free, no copyright. By a White Bat Audio. It's just like half an hour of this kind of music. Hey Bong, a while ago the vibrant nothingness stream, you gave me some critical advice. Recently I got my first commission and I'd like to believe it was because of you. Oh, maybe, who knows, but I'm happy for you, bird motherfucker. I assume that's what the MF stands for. I'm real sorry if you were under the impression it would be read differently. You have nice silver hair, thank you. Yeah, it's something that I try to get along with my nails. It's a bit bright, so They're like chromatic. You know. Loving that eyeshadow. Thank you, Kyle. Welcome to stream. This technology can create a mostly perfect reality. What's saying that there aren't countless numbers of more intelligent beings that are gods to us? I mean, what, you know, there's no way for us to know if more complicated beings are out there, because if they're more complicated, then they're beyond our comprehension, right? The way I like to look at it, though, is that, in the very same way that our cells clump up together to make our body, us as humans and animals, plants, and all these different kinds of life forms that we consider the environment, that in itself is one big organism. That in itself is technically a more complicated entity than us, because it is made up of every single living thing on the planet. So Earth itself is like a god, because it's an accumulation of all of these what we socially consider to be separate entities, but they're only separate in the same way that our cells are separate in our body. You know, it's just we have such a human-centric view of the world that we don't look at ourselves that way. We look at ourselves as to serve us, to accumulate us, and we are a thing, and we are more important than the cells. But there's no reason to believe we're actually more important than each individual cell in our body. And in that very same way, we are just like the cells that make up the entirety of Gaia, of Mother Earth, you know? Lordbug really changed since I last saw him. Yeah. It happens. People change. Good morning from Tunisia. Hey, Salam. Welcome to my stream. God isn't real, I only believe in frogs. That's valid. Words cannot express how profusely confused I am in what you're saying. Yeah, that's fine. Did anything nice happen today? A bunch of nice things happened today. What happened? Had a really good nut. I saw Baby Driver with my boyfriend for a cute date night. And after that we watched some Steven Universe, and it was just a very, very good date night, you know? Baby Driver's really good. If you haven't already seen it, definitely 100%. And I was really happy because Orion really liked it. It's very exciting. It's very good editing. Fortunately, a couple of the main cast have been Me Too'd. Not unfortunately for them, unfortunately for me, that I have to watch a movie in which that is a reminder. But I think the movie is so good that you kind of just forget anyway, at least in my case. My cells made me ugly, so I hate them. You're not ugly, Jory. Thank you, Anna Demise? From Demise Studio. Bro, where's actually SIP content? I'll give you some SIP content right here. Bung, what is the most plausible scenario / cause to the human species going extinct? I can't determine the most plausible because nobody knows, and I am part of the everybody, which I am referring to. What will be the most interesting? That is to say, the only thoughts that come up in my head when I think of how our species dies. Gonna have to check virus off the list. But I feel like the COVID virus is just part of a very long end of the world. You know, we're not exactly climbing as a species anymore. We're falling. We started falling when we decided that the land that we had wasn't good enough, and we had to take someone else's. That's when we started falling, in my opinion. And we've been falling for a couple thousand years now. You think about it, we've been rising for an even longer period of time. Living amongst nature, living in this, return the monkey type state. Yeah. It was a very nice run. And we, not in a bad time. We're in a time in which everything that, the thousands of years humans have been around has already happened. So we get to talk about it. And we get to think about it, and we get to relate it to us. And our roots are important because they let us know what we were designed for. If you can, would you marry your boyfriend? Yes, absolutely. Baby Driver's good, but it sucks that two of the main actors are creeps. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I could forget it. Are you bisexual? Because if you are, I'm also bisexual. Hey, if I said I wasn't, would you not be bisexual? Maybe a nuclear doomsday, perhaps. Nuclear doomsday is such an easy one to think of because it pretty much just wipes the slate clean and it takes away any level of complication from how the world might realistically end. I mean, obviously, whatever happens will be complicated, and then maybe historically would refer to it in a very simplistic way, like we would call it the Great Bang that ended civilization, and we'd all be in like these tribes talking about it like it's this one thing that happened, when the world is so deeply connected with each other, with itself, that everything that happened since the beginning of Earth's formation is a continuation that led up to the end of the world. There's no line to draw to say that this is where it all started falling apart. I know I did just say earlier something completely different, and I did say that the moment we began starting to take each other's land is when we started falling. That's where I draw the line. There's no objective line, is my point. I hope you have a wonderful stream. Your videos are awesome. Also, you got a cool hairstyle. Thank you, Blue Tracksuit Gamer. Thank you for the $10. Nice tracksuit. Why is the sun red? Uh-oh. Yeah. Do you still do drawing streams? Yes. Everyone is gonna get blown up by Frieza cannon. I agree. Yo, Bung, I got a boyfriend. Are you proud of me? I'm very proud of you, Saw Plague. I hope it's a lovely, good, wholesome time. I feel like this music could have been in Oxenfree. Look it up. Yeah, no, I know Oxenfree. It's a very fun game. Yeah, and talking about human extinction always sounds like bootleg nihilism. Yeah, it depends why you want to talk about it, but suspiciously, I think a lot of people like talking about it because they do fantasize of a destroyed world. But in my case, I like seeing it, well, when I was depressed, I did like fantasizing a destroyed world, but also there's a part of me that's just like, I'm uncomfortable with this society, right? Like there are so many issues with it. If you're on the minority end of the group and you end up suffering, noticing a lot of the issues with the way society is structured, how so many people just end up slipping through the cracks and not achieving the things that they were promised. Are you a guy or a woman? It's hard to tell. I don't have to be either, if that confuses you. Do you think the American education system should include more language and learning of it, since the rest of the world knows around 2 languages, but America refuses and sticks to only 1? Well, the rest of the world knows. The rest of the world, whoever you're talking about specifically, a lot of people around the world know English. It's the most popular second language on Earth. And that's because of people who live in these New World Order countries, like America, where English is the main language. It's to be more efficient for the people who are essentially dominating the planet. And I'm pretty sure Americans do have second language classes, like they learn Spanish and French. Mostly Spanish though. America doesn't have an official language as far as I can tell. But people are very insistent that it's English. Does being a manlet count as a minority? Unfortunately not. How did you decide to make confinement? I just felt like it. Trans rights. Hello, Alexis. I agree. Trans rights. Non-binary gang supremacy. Yeah. That's it. That's us. Are you wearing Raycons? These are Sony Base Extra or something. Base Extra. There is only one gender and it's Nerf or nothing. I feel like no nation has the interest of the planet in mind. Yeah, because just like the idea of being in control of and owning land and therefore significantly manipulating the people around you to perform a very particular ritual that destroys the earth. It doesn't have any incentive to be nice to the earth. It wants to exist beyond earth. It wants the culture and the society to exist beyond what nature can give it. They care more about this non-existent idea of how they think people should live. And most people go along with it in a way where we all have our own ideas of how society should live, but we're living somebody else's dream of how society should be. And it's sustainable enough that it benefits the people above us more than the people below us, or us, you know. And the people who are absolutely down at the bottom of that are just the completely passive reality of nature all around us, you know. This thing that isn't fighting back, this thing that is just existing. And because we don't want to just exist anymore, we've been raised to be so deeply insecure about ourselves that we need to control the universe around us to suit what we want. And what we want isn't sustainable. If we're raised insecurely, then what we want is never going to be sustainable. What we want is always going to be more than we need. We want more than we need all the time. Don't mean to make this a bummer. It's just what's been on my mind right now. I believe that nihilism is partially correct in the fact that we are all going to die and life is meaningless, but I don't believe we should abandon morality. No, morality is very useful. Acknowledge that morality is made up, like it's you who made it. You know, don't pretend it's objective and that you can kill somebody over it. But it's very important because it's sort of your reference point for navigating reality. You can trust yourself that you already spent the time and the emotion and the learned experience and the wisdom and apply what you've learned in this broad and sustainable way, you know? But also, morality, you know, don't take it too seriously, because there's gonna reach a point in your life where you realize that what you believe in is actually needs some updating, because you experience something new. And if you're living your life right, you experience new things on the regular, or at least you acknowledge the new things around you more often. And so it's gonna keep changing. Don't let that discourage you. There's only one gender, Gilbert. I agree. I was just drawing something to do with Gilbert earlier. Do you think nature is fighting against humans in general, or is it nature just fighting against technology? Nature isn't fighting anything. That's us. We're the ones fighting. Nature is just existing. Nature is just doing what it does. It's just flowing. And we are a part of nature. We're not separate from nature. That's just an aesthetic or a genre-based thing. Like, we use nature to describe just the trees. That's what I was doing earlier. I was trying to distinguish humans from nature. But the reality is we are nature. We are the side of nature that believes in fighting, the idea of fighting. We are the part of nature that believes in opposites, like us versus nature. We are the idea that believes that we are separate from nature. We're the part of the universe that believes we are separate from the universe. And so, because we feel like we're separate from nature, because we feel like we're separate from the rest of reality, we're kicking and screaming, and we're constantly gathering materials and growing because we're so afraid of disappearing. And so we create all these huge monuments to us, you know? And we call it noble, and we call it beautiful, and we call it human. And that is just a part of nature. We're not a tumor in the way, okay, we're not a tumor. We are a growth, but it isn't a good or a bad thing. This is just part of it. We're a continuation of a particular branch of primate, and we're doing things that are very destructive and unsustainable. But if we keep seeing ourselves as a cancer on the planet, that's just an excuse for us to destroy ourselves. If you don't view yourself with any value at all, then why would you want to make any other decision aside from destroying yourself? But I want everyone to die knowing that they improved the world and didn't give up. And that's a beautiful thought. And I know that a lot of people who die are able to experience something very profound and beautiful, just because of the perspective change. Hey Tim, what's up? We vibing. We arguably one of the worst parts of nature. Well, we are the part of nature that believes in better or worse, so you can call us the worst if you want, but that's not objectively true. How do the electrical signals with chemicals reaction inside our brain translate to the sensation of, say, the taste of chocolate? Well, we have to remember that chocolate was made after the brain. And the chocolate is an invention that triggers the very particular sensory sensations that we evolved to. So like sugar, for example, was a very rare thing to find back when we were very simple primates. And so therefore the brain gave you a huge buzz kick of euphoria whenever you had anything with sugar in it, because it was a great source of energy. And that was just one of the side effects of the brain trying to help us find these sources of energy in the wild. And so now that we have an abundance of resources and more than we could ever possibly dream of, we kind of hack that part of our brain and we make chocolate and you know, caffeinated drinks and all of these other little cheats to help us get through our day as if we were a machine. That is kind of how we view the world, isn't it, more mechanically, because that's just the point of reference we have around us. Most of the shit around us is man-made. And so we end up viewing the world, the entire world, as like a machine. You know, it's either broken or it's fixed. We don't have this natural attitude to the world, this attitude that is more, that is less judgmental. You know, nature isn't judgmental, for example. Nature doesn't give a shit. And we apply judgment to nature. And we end up creating this idea that there is such a thing as better or worse. Objectively better or worse. Humanity discovers an easy way to travel through space. I'm gonna be the first person to punch the sun. I agree. Ugh. Why do I like talking about this stuff? This isn't really, for me, this isn't really the fun part about existentialism. This is just like me trying to make my politics not sound so cynical. Oh well. You sound really smart. I'm not really. I don't think I am. I like talking. I don't know if I'm any good at it. Right now I'm kind of dizzy. I don't get it when people say his isn't real and the religious people get pissed. We created religion to give us comfort that death isn't the end, but the eternal truth is that life just goes on and we die. I have no idea what you just said. Do you have any current media loves and inspiration? Yeah, Steven Universe has been something I've been watching with my lovely boyfriend for the past couple of weeks, actually. It's been really fun. It's very wholesome. It's very sweet. It's very emotional. It's very well-written characters. Very pleasant, nice design, animation, art style. Overall, just a really good show. It touches on very vulnerable subjects that me back then was like, ugh, feelings, ugh. I don't want to think about crying and confronting my trauma, you know. But no, it's actually incredibly therapeutic if you're able to let yourself be vulnerable. You sound like someone I would follow into battle? Oh no. I wouldn't do that. That being said, I don't think religion isn't real, but it seems a little far-fetched. Well, people have this attitude that, like, the weirdness of religion is what's wrong with it. And that's a reflection of just how much we pretend to value science in society. We just think it sounds weird, and that's the problem. No, that's not the problem with religion. The problem with religion is the dogma, the fundamentalism, trying to control people. Trying to convince people that there's only one way that you can live your life, and if you step outside of that way, then you are an aberration and you need to be cut out. You need to be avoided and excluded through all these various means. That's the problem with it. Believe in whatever the fuck you want, but if you're hurting people, that's the problem. You know? Doesn't matter if you believe in dragons or unicorns or some crazy shit. Because if you aren't hurting people, then you can live in the same town as somebody who believes in ghosts or Or gnomes or something. Can you say my name? It's impossible to spell. A slice of nuke? Slice of nook? Well, like pooing nothing. Got me. Got my ass. Bonobo with a phone, I agree. I do believe that in the beginning, you know, religion came later. In the beginning, people just had the way that things were. That's just what it was. There was no objective name for it. It was just the way things were, you know, the way the universe works. And it was just about as real as what we believe in now, because it affected every aspect of their life, and it affected all the decision making, and therefore it was real. Because what is real? Real is just an idea. It's not. It doesn't reflect reality in an objective way. Words are just a reference to reality. What reality is, we can't name. It's too. It's too vague, because where do we draw the lines between within the universe? How do we separate everything? It's arbitrary. It's based on what we can gain from reality. You know, a tree is only a tree as opposed to a rock, because we can get certain things from the tree that the rock can't give, and so we've drawn a line between them. But in reality, they're just both a part of nature. They're just both there. Nature itself isn't being like, all right, there's a line between this rock and this tree. It's not trying to tell us to separate anything. That's us. That's us. It's all us. So use that part of your brain, but draw the lines where you want. You can believe in whatever you want. If you're hurting people, then expect people to try and stop you, you know, but do what you want. Can't control other people, and you shouldn't try. Let people enjoy life, mate. So true. This message is from the outside. We don't know where it will end up, but you need to wake yourself up from this coma. I'm in a coma. I already had that fantasy too many times. Problem with religion is the fact that if you believe you're doing the right thing, then you do any evil thing to avenge your God and belief. Yeah, if you believe you're 100% right, then you can convince yourself to do anything terrible. I really, really love your chill streams. Thank you. Thank you, Zaptolite. Started trying to watch Midnight Gospel, loving it so far, but need a good amount of time between episodes. Yeah, fair enough. Some pretty heavy stuff in that show. Last episode will make you cry, bro. Guarantee. Doritos too. Imagine saying literally nothing, but instead doing something. My bad. I forgot to just leave like a blank screen on. Philosophy in school? Philosophy with Lord Bong. Well, I'm not an academic philosopher, so don't listen to me over if what you're trying to achieve is an academic understanding of philosophy. Which is totally fine and legitimate. You're allowed to do that. This is just fun. This is just stuff that you can't put into a neat category that you get to brag about. This is just honest, sincere nothingness. I think, personally, I can make many arguments for the importance of doing nothing, of just vibing, just chilling. The rigid binary between good and evil make religious people look for evil in those who are different. Yeah, I mean, not to be too generalizing, but yeah, the mindset of wanting to keep a certain viewpoint alive so deeply and so badly that you are willing to hurt people. That is a self-sustaining action. And so you have people who are possessed by this to just create enormous societies and cultures around it. Hey Lish. Get ready to move back to uni. Aw, yeah. It's time to go on a little drive. Perceived rigid binary. Yeah, it is a thing that people get obsessed with. Everything in the universe is made of binaries. And dogma, religion, tyrants, people who like having way more power than everybody else. They need a very simple rule. They decide that one side of a binary is bad and the other side is good, and they tell everybody which one is which. And they decide that that's true. And for many of us, it's so deep in us that we can't even reach down and question everything. We're just too busy reacting on these impulses that people from thousands of years ago already decided for us. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? But knowing that is how you end up liberating yourself, you know? Just, oh, hey, I feel a lot better now. Oh, I can make decisions? Oh, it's a little scary. No, you know, I've never, probably the first person in my family who's ever figured this out, or, you know, like, you have this revelation, and then it helps improve your life this way. Or you could use it to make your life worse. It's a swings and roundabouts. Technically, if you're doing nothing, you're choosing to do nothing, which is a choice. So technically, something. That's true. Just an expression. Doing literally nothing. Your hair looks like cotton candy. I want to touch it so bad. Thank you. How could math be a universal language? What if the other beings use different numbers than us? Well, it's not the specific symbols. That's not what math is. Math is the ability to quantify. It's being able to acknowledge something and then acknowledge more than one something. That's about it. I was thinking about this earlier, like, I get into these dumb arguments in my head about, like I might have a memory from the past. Let's say a bad math teacher. This is what I was thinking about. And then I get lost into thought, and I'd get into an argument with a math teacher in my head. And I give them a whole character, and I end up having these crazy discussion arguments, fighting. In my head, I swear I said something along the lines of, well, I'm sorry that I don't get as jazzed over rearranging the same 10 symbols over and over again. And that to me was a very funny, just sort of like, fuck math. It's really just not that big a deal. But, you know, from like an existential level, it is actually the only rules that, it's the base rules that exist in reality. It's the most base rules. It's kind of hard to wrap my head around. I love the fact that you literally sound like Cornwell from The Confinement. Who the fuck is Cornwell? How did you meet Orion, and why is his name so close to Onion? It's not that close to Onion. It doesn't, I don't say it like Onion. He is, and he does make me cry though with love. It makes me very happy that I cry sometimes. And then he abuses me. I'm kidding. He doesn't do that. No, he's very lovely. How did I meet him? It was so long ago now. Just a bunch of goofy dummies on the internet who liked each other's art and work and wanted to, pretty sure he wanted to do a voice in Bum Chronicles. Yeah, I think the Norse Code episode of Bum Chronicles. He was very excited. He was very sweet. The conditioner that is missing. I'll get it in a second. He's very silly. He's very funny, and we were both really into Broadway musicals. He was very much into Homestuck. He was helping me with an episode of Confinement, and he snuck Homestuck into the fucking episode. Like a goober. Sometimes I feel like we were meant to meet each other, you know? Like, there's this interesting phenomenon as you get older and you look back at your life, because you've lived more years, your brain simplifies it and it creates more of a narrative. And I know my narrative is pretty early, I'm only 25. But looking back at my life and just seeing the sort of ups and downs of it in this simplified way, and then now I'm here with Orion, it just makes me feel like it was all the suffering was worth it, you know? Like this whole time I wanted to be able to love myself, and it was hard for me to tell myself to love myself, because I hated myself, you know, for the longest time. And I try to find it in other things and in other people, and then I had that near-death experience, and it reset my brain, and for the longest time, for months, I was just like on this uphill spiral of getting healthier and learning to love myself in this really steady, calm way with, you know, lots of crazy amounts of patience that I don't still have anymore, but I'm sure I can access it if I really tried. And then as soon as I got myself back up from all that terrible self-destruction, he came back into my life, and it was like, oh, this could be a thing. This might be a thing. This is definitely becoming a thing, and now it's a thing. And I've never been happier in my life. Like, this isn't like, you know, like when you're on an insane amount of drugs and you're just peaking and it lasts a few seconds or a few minutes or whatever. That's like, you know, intense ecstasy or whatever. What I'm talking about is like consistent happiness. Like, I feel at home, I feel safe. Every day, like, I come back to him and he's always there, and I could always rely on him to talk to him about my feelings, and he always respects them and takes them seriously. He's just amazing. There's no such thing as good and evil, only interpretation. Yeah. Although, you know, there is like some people who say that are only doing it so that they can do bad things, but I know that's not what you're trying to do. Education is less about learning to understand and more memorization for exams. I love society when people pursue knowledge freely. Yeah, like out of genuine curiosity, so that way you actually remember it. It'd be good. It's pretty sad that education is simply to streamline us towards workplaces rather than generally let people explore ideas and pursue topics they find interesting. Yeah, and they call it being realistic. There's nothing realistic about it. Thank you for confinement and you. It's taught me tolerance in a way that is weird. Oh yeah, it's definitely weird. Like, nobody likes to think of themselves as intolerant. But, yeah, very deeply intolerant. We have a lot of nasty thoughts up there. A lot of impulses that we don't even know where they come from half the time. Especially if you have OCD. I grew up with much worse OCD than I have now. But I still have really intrusive thoughts, and they're very nasty. They're very gross. They're very... And they help with, like... I think they've helped with comedy, like being able to just be sort of spontaneous. But it's also a lot of the source of... like, when I was a kid, I thought I was insane. Just because I'd be thinking all these things that I didn't want to think about. They were just popping in my head. I was trying to navigate around them. Thank you for the frog emoji. Why would you hate yourself? You're a great person. Thank you. It's easier for me to say that now. Like, I do think that I'm a good person. I do think that I'm... Well, I do think that I'm doing my best. You know? I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I'm doing it in the way that I want to do it. I surround myself with the people who I love. I spend time with the people I love and care about. You know, I try to make it as beneficial for me as possible. But sometimes I just get into these habits and I forget that I love myself, and that's how it feels. It's like forgetting that I love myself. And then suddenly I'm in this character where I hate myself. It comes out of nowhere sometimes. But luckily for me, lately, it's been in much shorter instances of hating myself. You know? Like I might spiral because of something that I saw that particularly triggered me. And then for just the 10 minutes of panic attack or whatever that I've been having, I would hate myself for that moment, and then I would calm down and be pretty neutral. Alright, see ya, Commitchual. Self-loathing is one of the worst intrusive thoughts. No one's criticized me in a minute. Let me drudge up 36 reasons why they should. Yeah. It's literally just a habit. Like, if you come out of an abusive relationship and you still have the pattern in your head of this is how things should be, then you end up missing it and looking for it. Or if you grew up with an abusive family or a neglectful family, the habit still carries over after a while, and it's like you have to actively get yourself into different habits that are just as meaningful, that could be just as meaningful to you, and sometimes that means confronting them with its opposite. Like, I'm dating Orion now, and he's been nothing but accepting and good to me, and it's been so overwhelming to me that I can even live in this lifestyle in which somebody cares about me every time I'm sad. Every time that I'm sad, every time that I'm distressed or upset, he, unless he's asleep, he is always there. You know? He's always emotionally available. And because I grew up in a family where emotional availability was very unavailable, it made things very, I don't know, not good. Not good. This fellow and I are on the same wavelength. Great minds think alike because of depression. I don't think I'm depressed. I'm sorry if you are. too many vibe points to be feeling this way. Show me the brain, I'm gonna beat it up. Yeah, it's a lot easier for me to be chill on stream because there's a kind of... Not only is there an expectation for me to be because I've named the title that, but it's easier for me to create the vibe because I'm the loudest voice in this particular social setting. And I am deciding that we are vibing, even though I've been leaning forward and hurting my back this whole time. I need to stop doing that. I need to lean back like this. Oh, this feels so much better. What am I doing? What am I doing? Ugh. Man. Fucking crazy. Ryan Epic Sigma male confirmed. Yes, he is. He is a Sigma male. He is my handsome prince. And he takes care of me. And I take care of him too. I don't mean to just make myself sound like a baby that needs help all the time. Although I do feel that way quite often. Not to brag, but I do help him too. I am trying my best to be emotionally available for him because that's what I always wanted for myself. And so I'm able to do it with him, and he's able to do the same thing with me, and it's just this beautiful, sustainable balance. I feel like no matter what issue we run into, I'll always be able to go to him, and he'll always be able to go to me. Self-loathing's been a real big part of my life recently, honestly, to the point where I couldn't get friends just because I thought I wasn't good enough for having them. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. I definitely know how that feels. Been streaming for an hour now, congrats. Hell yeah. Oh, my head still hurts a little bit. I might begin to smoke in a second. Do you have any thoughts on cutting out family? The pandemic has really brought out the racist, white supremacist side of mine. Oh, I'm so sorry, Miko Kitty, that fucking sucks. Yeah, well... You know, space is important, and you don't have to totally cut somebody off to be able to get to a healthier place. You can live in a different house. I'm sorry, I'm not giving realistic suggestions here. You probably mean how do you prepare yourself emotionally for that? I have no idea. I just moved out of my house when I turned 18. I was furious. I hated living with them. And I wanted to prove that I could live on my own, essentially. I don't regret any of it. I don't really regret any of these big decisions just because of how complicated they are, and I wouldn't be able to tell how my life would have been if I didn't make the decisions that I made. Like, every decision that you make is the best decision based on what you knew at the time, you know? Thoughts on Wobbly? I love Wobbly. Thank you, Rico the Mongolian slave. Am I just lazy, or is the government putting anti-IQ pills in my bloodstream so I don't become too smart? They don't have to. You just have to go along with the crowd. You sheeple. I know, this really does sound like that. But we don't like asking too many questions. It's annoying, and so it's easier to not ask questions. And that's just the way they like it. You sound like that guy from that show about a guy. I agree. I'm gonna move in with my boyfriend. gonna be very lovely. Being able to just hug him every day and kiss him. Just hang out with him. Vibe with him. You know, learn about all of the new things that I learn about just from being in a long distance relationship. Every single day is a new day and I learn something new about him. And it's not like this crazy, chaotic, like I'm trying to control him into this one singular character that's easy to manage. It's like just watching him grow and just being next to him while he grows and while I grow. And when you are trying to not control somebody, you end up growing with them in this beautiful way. It's like a dance, it's equal, you know? The amount of power that we have over each other is equal. And you just sort of dance around them. You dance with them, you know? That's how I see it, at least. A kind of Zen way of living life. You're not trying to control reality, but you're still doing stuff. Do but don't force is how Taoism and Zen has been taught to me. Or how they say in Undone is try not try, you know. And I think that's a great way to look at life. Like, I respect his boundaries, he respects my boundaries. We never make each other do anything that we don't want to do. We don't even have to worry about that, because we trust each other so much. And we don't, and meanwhile, at the exact same time, we're not worried about each other leaving, you know? Like, people who have control, just too much control over their partner, they're worried about them leaving. And we give each other space, but there's no fear at all of him leaving. And it's just this really nice balance. It's really good. It just makes me happy. Wait, Lord Bug, do you have a bit of a crush on your boyfriend? Don't tell him. One second, I need to change the air conditioner. Gorilla the spinner. Or orangutan banging. Hey, Scorp. Nah, this is doing nothing. Nothing is subjective. It's relative to what the something is. This is nothing in the sense that the people who are expecting to see me animating confinement come in and they're like, you're doing literally nothing. Thank you, IKZ Exeter Remix. Interesting name. Okay, so I figured that my conversations are not going to be super intelligent or stimulating right now, intellectually. So I'm just going to get a bit more high, because my head hurts real bad. Okay, not that bad. It's a little bit. Hurts a little bit. Is that Dorito for sale? Yes, it's for sale. $10 US. Bronx, New York. So if you're in the Bronx, I know a guy. LSD stream? I don't think I would stream on LSD. it's not that entertaining from you know, unless you're the person on the LSD, then it might be very entertaining or very scary. Actually, I was on LSD a few nights ago, and I had a bad trip, but most of it was really good. Most of the trip was quite good, but I ended up, I was in the car with a friend who was driving. They were sober. I ended up looking in the mirror, in the side view mirror of the car, and I was just like, like became self-aware when I was on LSD, and then it was straight downhill. It was absolute horror for me. It was like I was worried I was gonna disappear again. I was worried that all of reality was gonna end. But through the communication skills that I've developed with Orion, you know, being able to talk about my feelings and being able to see my feelings as valuable, I was able to tell my friends during the trip that, like, the instant that the trip went down, I was like, guys, I'm having a bad trip. And they took care of me, you know? They let me, like, hold their arms and stuff, and, you know, they weren't, like, weirded out or trying to get away from me like I assumed they would if I was too anxious. But no, like, I probably wouldn't have reached out if I didn't learn to value myself and value my feelings and my comfort and my safety. But then after that, I just played with the dogs in the backyard that they had. They had some really good dogs. There was one that was like a really fat Shar-Pei. And the other two, I don't remember what they were, but they weren't as funny looking as the fat Shar-Pei. I remember that fat Shar-Pei, her name was China. And she was just like a big sausage, like a big fat sausage. It was amazing. You look like the gayest man alive. Okay, Glenn Quagmire with the Glenn Quagmire profile pic from Family Guy. You sound like you're overcompensating a bit with your heterosexuality there. My boy, I'm good. Upload my art portfolio for college and gotta wait 2 weeks. But what about you, Guto? Oh, I'm happy for you, Scott. If you're invisible and you close your eyes, could you see through your eyelids? Interesting question. Does anyone know how to hack your own computer? I need to remove the password that blocks my access to admin. Oh, I have no idea. I hope somebody helps you soon. Thank you, Francesco Totoro. When does the vibing end? Probably in an hour or something. It's literally Quagmire. It actually is him. Yahoo Answers being shut down. Shaking my head. Who am I gonna ask useless 3 AM questions to now? It's heartbreaking. Will they continue my brother and me? I don't know. 1 second, I'm just, yeah. $5 Paragon 123. I forgot if I read that out or not. Fun fact, if you're invisible, you would be blind. Yeah, that might make sense. Because at what point is the light entering your eyes yours? And would that become invisible? So everything that you're witnessing, whatever you are, is informed by your ability to convert light and shadow into images. So does that go away as well when you turn invisible? It's kind of a useless power. Because I'll feel things physically though. You would be tangible still. If you were invisible, intangible, and inaudible, would you exist? I guess you could smell and taste. Try fucking tasting if you couldn't physically feel where the ice cream is. If you're invisible, then you wouldn't be able to see through them because they'd be the same matter, like touching other ghosts. Depends on what logic you're using, though. We need ghosts to exist first. That would be helpful for the argument. With this reasoning, you are now in my top 10 YouTubers, Lamau. I can't remember what the reasoning was, but I hope it was good. Something else I like about Orion is that he's extremely talented. He could have been boring, and I probably still would have dated him, but he's not boring. He's extremely funny. He's so talented. He was showing me his cosplays this morning. Morning for me, at least. He's got a TikTok. Go check in the description, by the way. There's a link tree to my boyfriend. And all of his social media platforms and his Amazon wish list. If you want to make me happy, you can go buy stuff off of his wish list. Gift it to him. Be nice, be lovely. Gift him something. Ghostbusters are hiding the fact ghosts are real. Wake up, people. You'd think they'd be trying to let us all know so that they can get work. But nope. What if everything was invisible except your eyes? If there was just a pair of eyes that were only visible? This is hurting my brain a little bit. Is Orion a nickname or his real name? No, it's his real name. His nickname to me is like Ray of Sunshine. My prince. That's what I call him. Those are his nicknames. From me. Oh, I do like calling him my love. I really just call him a lot of things, actually. Richard, episode 8 is still being made, no real updates. Today I designed... can't spoil it. Today I designed a character and ended up creating a few sample frames of some of their more popular poses that I think I'm going to use. So that was good. Thank you, the sandwich god, I appreciate that. Orion has amazing cosplay powers, like the Kokichi cosplays are stunning. They really are. He's just so good. He's so fucking good. Like, I'm intimidated sometimes by the fact that I have somebody this talented and adorable and sweet. And funny, fucking funny, he has so much energy. He just like, it's like, you know, when you imagine a cat running around in circles just cause they do that sometimes. That's Orion. And I'm just like sitting there and I watch him tire himself out. And then he's just like chill and he's sweet and he's calm. And then I tell him something sweet and he gets flustered and he doesn't know what to say. It's very good. It's very good. Very good content from my brain. Gives me the serotonin. Yeah, Thor the Doge. It is big, but also it's taken a long time because a bunch of terrible things happened last year, and it significantly got in the way of my work and my mental health, and also whether or not I was gonna end up homeless or dead. Not to get too grim, but that was definitely on the table at one point during the creation of this episode. Not because of the creation of this episode, because of other things in my life, but because these episodes of confinement that I make are a reflection, a projection based on how I've been feeling at a particular time in my life. This episode was getting more complicated and dark and interesting because I'm kind of fucked up there for a while, and then it got too real, and I don't blame confinement or anything. Confinement was more like that episode was becoming more a symptom of what was happening up here, and it was getting too dark. And then well, I'm good now. Orion Pax. I found the nerd that watches, that read the IDW Transformers comics. Goddamn nerd. Get Orion a bow and arrow, please. Yes. Newgrounds has a game called Super Imposter Bros, and now I'm heavily disappointed in people. I'm so sorry to hear that. Hope you're alright after 2020. Yes, I am. 2020 is long gone, and now I'm in 2021. Well, actually, like the last half of 2020 became really good. It was the first half of 2020 when things got really dark. But then the second half is when my life started going upwards and I started getting healthier. And then I met Orion. Well, I met Orion ages ago, but I met him in the romantic way. Because really, we've had crushes on each other for a very long time. We're just like, what are we? What are we? We have no idea. We're very clueless. We're very silly. But I feel like the time that we got together romantically was probably the best time. You know? Not sooner, not later. Just that moment. Yes, make me keen on coal. There will be more confinement, don't worry. Alright, see you Sans Morty. Look at this ring. I wear this ring when I go out so that I can look at it and be like, hey, that's like Orion, because he's like a crazy little cat. He's just a mischievous little cat that bap, 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 baps things he doesn't like. He whines outside my door. He does the zoomies. He goes into silly mode and he does the zoomies. I'm trying to stay awake and your voices make me fall asleep. That's valid. That's valid. Bubbly hair. Yeah, it's pretty puffy. Have a cyber cigar. Yeah, man. Those comics were amazing. IDW Transformers comics. Fuck. It was taking one of the earliest things in my childhood that I liked and made it into this incredibly complex, relevant, heavy, creative story with amazing character writing and adventures and just everything that I liked about sci-fi, and made it into this enormous multi-arc graphic novel that went on for like 13 years or something of just drawing. Never gonna see anything like that again in my life. Maybe. What is the closest thing to IRL magic? The closest thing to IRL magic is magic. It's the ability to be able to manifest reality in the way that you want it to. But first you have to profoundly change the way that you look at reality. You know? Reality is not objective. There is some truth to faking it till you make it. Don't fake it in a way where you know you're faking it. Genuinely believe it, you know? Do it in this way that is gentle and slow and patient, and you won't ever be disappointed, because if you aren't trying so desperately to get something, then it doesn't feel that long when you finally get it, until you finally get it. If you think like, well, you know, I know that I'm gonna get a nice house one day, and I know I'm gonna be satisfied with it. Something simple like that, you know, you have to look for what you want deep down emotionally, and deep down emotionally, you might not want something so complicated. It's usually something simpler, some kind of fulfillment, and if you need that through material objects, whatever, or through another person, whatever, that's also good. But if you're like, I would like this, it would be nice, and I know I'm gonna get it one day. But you're not like every single second of the day screaming for it, or every day just like worrying about it. If you're just like, I know this will happen to me one day, then it doesn't matter how long it takes, because when you finally get it, you'll be like, yeah, I knew this was gonna happen. If you're worrying about it every day, then it feels long, even if it isn't actually that long. So that's what magic is, in my opinion, is the ability to be able to manifest things by conjuring them into reality, basically. You know? People with enormous amounts of social, financial power do it all the time. A lot of it isn't great magic, it's not exactly the most positive magic, it's mostly making products, but owning land, but magic is just being able to do things, manifest things into reality based on your actions. It doesn't matter how you do it. Being able to be like, yeah, I'm not so happy with this exact moment in time, I'm gonna change it by first thinking about it and then doing it. Rocks can't fucking do that. We're this incredible speed. We're the closest thing to magic. You know? Magic is a uniquely human idea. It's just based off of this very simple principle that we can get what we want. And sometimes we can't get what we want, that's fine. But that's not because humans are magic. It's because the entire universe is magic. It's just this thing that's doing what it wants. It's just one gigantic organism that is just doing what it wants. It is just doing, it is just flowing. And there are very simple psychological tricks that you can do to help you navigate through the world. And a lot of it is believing in yourself, as cheesy as that sounds. Being able to see that your view of the world is just as valid, is that your subjective view of the universe is the universe. There's no such thing as an objective universe. And you just manifest everything because you believe it, because you let yourself believe in something, you know? Thank you, Sans Morty, for the milk. You look like someone who would lead me on an epic quest in a cyberpunk series and know the ins and outs of the city while taking me under your wing and you get severely injured and I save you. Thank you, Ruben. Hopefully you will be a better sidekick than Ruben from the Minecraft movie game. Who are you? Asked Furpo. I'm nobody. I'm just vibing. Do you think alternate realities are real? Yeah, I mean, that's what our imagination is. To be able to think of a thought, you have to contextualize that thought in a universe in which that thought exists. So every thought that you have is a reality that you create unknowingly. Not literally, there's no way you can literally prove that you can, like, create a portal and walk into another reality. Because if you can make a portal and walk into another reality, it's part of the same reality, isn't it? Right? Because you exist in it. There's no other reality in that sense, in the Rick and Morty sense. That doesn't work. If there was other realities, there are other realities, but you can't get to them. Not in the same way. There is another way of looking at it where every decision that you make is you stepping into a reality in which you made that decision. Or everything that happens to you is you stepping into a reality in which that thing happened to you. And real reality is just us flowing through these possibilities. Like, everything in reality is just sort of this explosion of energy flowing in all these different directions, and our consciousness is just part of this current. And so we end up switching bodies, quote unquote, or switching consciousnesses, or whatever you want to call it. It sounds more complicated than it actually is. It depends what you mean by reality. Reality is what's happening to you, right? So even if you create a portal to another dimension, you aren't going into another reality. You are experiencing reality regardless. It is completely yours. It's subjective. All of reality is yours. It's completely 100% yours. And if you're dissatisfied with your reality, you're dissatisfied with yourself, because you and your reality are the same thing. Who you are is the entire reality of your experience. You know, that we visibly and sensationally center around this one thing that we call a human. But every person you ever met is also you. You went from animated to philosopher. I'm still animating. I've always been into talking about this kind of stuff. But my scope has grown as I've grown as a person, so. Objective view of reality is impossible right now. We know full well that there are colors, sounds, and other energy wavelengths that we can't perceive. Yet, we think we know what's up. Like, well, yeah, like, how we view reality isn't more objective than how every other species on the planet views reality. We just socially and culturally think that we're more important than animals because of how much change we could influence, because we think that's important. It's not objectively true, that's just an idea. Not to diminish us as a species, I think we're an amazing species and I'm glad that I'm a human. But there are a lot of people who are very certain about themselves in this way that I think perpetuates destruction. This is epic. I love confinement and don't have anything better to do. Also, Australia is ballin', unless you're on Victoria. Hey, thank you for the $10. I appreciate that. Thank you, Combinator. Do you believe in the infinite monkey theory? Leave a monkey with a typewriter for infinity, it'll write Shakespeare. Yeah, I mean, if you don't get caught up in, like, the details, like, how's the monkey gonna live for that long, then the idea, it basically represents, chaos, how chaos is infinite, and how in that infinite chaos you create order, except that we just decide what order is based on the timeline of our evolution through the millions upon millions and millions of years of just how physics has been panning out in the way that it has, and then creating chemistry and biology in the way that it has, and built on top of that is the biology of millions of years of evolution and habits and instinct and impulses, and ultimately what we're made up of is trillions of impulses that have been going on just because they've been going on. It's just to perpetuate itself, right? It's things in reality trying to live longer than other things. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, infinite monkey theory. And so over enough of a long period of time, you will create order. You will always end up creating this right now, this exact moment right now. I remember when I was on LSD a few nights ago, I was in a state of, after the panic, I ended up in a state of this weird, teary, nostalgic bliss, because I was thinking to myself over and over again, I've already done this before. And that's just the feeling that you get when you begin to lose the ability to experience time, which is something that LSD is very fun for. Is that it feels like this is all a big repeating loop that my life has been repeating infinitely. And I think that is how the universe works. Like at the end of it all, there's a big crunch, and then the big bang, everything just repeats itself in this way. And I think that I was definitely resonating with that idea. Although I wasn't thinking of that idea, it just felt like everything was so beautiful and fleeting and meaningless, but not in a bad way. It was just like, I was just thinking of my whole life and just thinking like, if this repeats infinitely, I'd be okay with that. If all my experiences just, I have to go through it over and over again, I'd be okay with that, you know? That's how I was feeling. I do like that feeling, it's a very nice feeling. It's so interesting to think that we are able to communicate with monkeys and other type of consciousness. Yeah. Some of them are close enough to be able to emulate the human idea of how we have manifested our intelligence. You know, being able to follow our rules of language and stuff. That we communicate them on this level. And I hope we keep doing that because I want to keep tearing down the barriers between us and all of these things in the universe that we have deemed less important than us, because it'll help us confront what we've been doing this whole time. You know, we've been destroying things that we previously thought were less important than us, and there's an incentive to keep it that way, to not think of animals as important, because we have to feel bad about them, you know, about what we've been doing. Nobody wants to feel that, so. But I hope we keep talking to animals, you know. That is the concept of eternal return, Nietzsche's main philosophical point. Is that right? Yeah, I can kind of see that. Yeah, just being totally satisfied and content not totally satisfied, but like content enough with life that you just keep going, because you're most likely going to keep going anyway. So there is a level of change that you can make about yourself that makes it easier to keep going. Because changing your life isn't necessarily going to make you happier. Because unless the change changes you as a person, then it's meaningless change. So making big, stressful decisions, not because they're stressful, but because they're important. Because you know that it might help you change in this positive way. That's much more meaningful change, because you're dealing with chaos. It's like when you get a cat or something. You are not in total control of the cat, otherwise it would be boring, and it wouldn't be a healthy relationship either. You have to accept the part of the cat that is absolutely chaotic and just does whatever it wants, and doesn't listen to you all the time, and doesn't give you as much attention as you would like it to sometimes, and sometimes scratches you, sometimes makes poopies, and you have to clean up. Well, always makes poopies, and you always have to clean up the poopies, but you keep them anyway because you appreciate its independence, its independent existence from you, its consciousness, its raw life, its passion. Or like when you make a new friend, there's stuff about them you can't control, but that's the exciting part. That's the part that's what makes you different from me. And that's what makes you stand out and shine bright, Like, you're in a relationship. Like, you have your partner who's just like this person who you truly do look up to in a way. You see as somebody so massively important to you. And they're doing their own thing, and you keep falling in love with everything that they do. Things that you didn't think were important until they did it. And then suddenly you see the beauty in everything, and it's like, why would I want to control this? Why would I want to restrain and change and suffocate this amazing light, I mean, admittedly, my boyfriend also does stupid things, but it's all good. It's all cute, and it's all amazing. I love my boyfriend, I'm sorry. I just love talking about him. He's silly, he's funny. And he's human. I don't see him as a god, he makes mistakes, and and he's quite silly and mentally ill. But so am I. And we're able to be sustainable and loving and caring and emotionally available with each other. I don't want people to think that relationships are this godlike standard. You just have to communicate. That's the most important part. It's a really uncomfortable thing to do, I get it. Like, I still have trouble being able to share things, but I'm always able to with him. Do you get stressed by knowing so many people saw your face and can make a real doll of you or a video of you saying things you never said? Yeah, like a deep fake or something? Yeah. But oh well. How would you define intelligence? I don't know if it's strictly definable, because humans are good at all sorts of things that exist on different forms of measurement. How do you measure creativity versus intuition versus emotional intelligence versus social intelligence? Because you could be very good at something so specific and rigid, but as long as it's socially relevant, we would consider it intelligent as a species. But that makes intelligent completely subjective. It's based on popular demand, on like which is the most important way that we should be thinking to run society. That doesn't mean anything objective. This is just like a social thing. So I can't really define intelligence. Bro, how can you say that to someone who never was in a relationship? I was just throwing out examples for embracing chaos into your life. Like beautiful examples of embracing chaos into your life. I'm sorry that you've never been in a relationship, and I hope that that changes as long as you're ready and healthy for one. Do you ever wonder if you love someone too much? I wouldn't word it that way, but I do wonder if I express my love too much to my partner, but he reassures me that he likes it, so he doesn't lie to me, so you know. Eat monkey Brian, get smart. I agree. How can I tell if I'm dying? Because I think I might be dying. I don't really know. If you genuinely think you might be dying, maybe you should call an ambulance. One second. I hope you're still listening, Orion. I really love you. And you matter so much to me. It's really hard to put into words, but I try to every day. And I hope you appreciate it. This is for Orion, because I think he might be watching. He might be watching the stream, maybe, yeah. Have you ever played Conker's Bad Fur Day? Yeah, I remember fighting a giant, enormous poo man. That was quite crazy. How can I tell I'm human and my brain isn't run by a goblin? You can't, so just live life. What are you gonna do if you figured out your brain was run by a goblin? It's not going to change anything. You're still going to want to buy ice cream and dance and play video games and shit. Why do I assume people like to dance? I haven't... I genuinely don't know that many people who like to dance. I noticed that I dance nervously now. Or like I dance at default mode depending on the situation. Like in my acting class, my default mode is like, you know, just like I'd be the only one doing it. Except for like when people are standing near me, they start doing it. And I feel like an infectious virus, you know? I'm just like grooving. I move next to somebody and then they start grooving. And it's like, yeah, we are vibing. You cuties, wish you both the best. He is such a cutie. And we are adorable together. I'm so happy. If I want to take my date somewhere expensive in America, I take it to the hospital. It's fucked up. I think, contrary to popular belief, a monkey slamming a keyboard for a long time will never finish Shakespeare's work in eternity. in an eternity. Well, I think you underestimate how long eternity is. It's literally beyond. Try to think of the longest period of time you can live. It doesn't even make a blip on eternity. Because whether you like it or not, that's how the universe came into being. There was an eternity of nothingness. And nothingness only exists in contrast to somethingness. In other words, nothingness only exists as a backdrop. It can only exist as a backdrop, which means there's always something there. What we call nothingness, we call the singularity. We say singularity of all of the universe is just like a speck. It doesn't really matter what size it is, because size isn't even invented in this space. Size doesn't exist. Space doesn't exist. Light, height, length, width, time doesn't exist. There's just a singularity and then explosion. And then the universe comes out of that, and over this intensely long period of time, everything fell together in this way that we have evolved to think means order. But that idea is just a result of the way things have been propelled into motion. And we as human beings are smart enough to know this, to be able to look at the trajectory of life from an evolutionary standpoint and realize I don't have to just give in to my base instincts like a chimpanzee. I can do other things. I can make decisions and do it for the sake of myself, for the sake of my ability to make decisions. My self-respect, my integrity, my whatever you want to call it. I can make up morality and then follow that for the rest of my life, and then I could change it when it needs to change. Like, these are all these things that, even though they're so deeply a part of nature and in one aspect out of our control, is also in this magical realm in our control, and we are absolutely, totally creating narratives that make our life significant and bring us sense and peace and clarity, and everything that we want in life is this side effect of evolution that we can take total control over if we really wanted to. But instead we put ourselves in these complicated games where we end up charging people rent for a living. Danny, my car exploded. I'm sorry, Finley. I knew it was going to happen one day. Monkey make choice to eat banana. Exactly. Calming voice. Thank you, smoked cats. That's fine. What I am speaking is not knowledge. It is just... I mean, it is sprinkled with my opinions, but as far as I can tell, it is just an observation of reality. Based on what we know, this is based on knowledge. Like, if you don't believe in evolution or the Big Bang, then this might come off as false knowledge to you, but the reality is that we exist and that things flow the way that they flow. The universe isn't trying to prove anything to us. The universe just is. So why don't we adopt that idea a little bit? Or rather, the lack of idea. Why don't we just stop thinking for a hot second? And just let ourselves exist. Give ourselves permission to just exist for a second. There's so many vibrations going on in your body right now. Every second of the day, there's so many sensations that we've just grown numb to because we're ignoring them. We're training ourselves to ignore how we feel because it's chaotic and unpredictable, and therefore we try to ignore them. But they make up who you are. You can't live a meaningful life if everything was under your control. It would be meaningless. It would just be things happening apathetically. There wouldn't be emotions, there wouldn't be significance, there wouldn't be meaning. And how could we go through life with such a complicated brain, big organ in our head that's cutting everything up into pieces psychologically, when we can't create meaning? The brain creates meaning, but really it's just one way of saying that the universe has meaning from one perspective. You can do that. You can change your perspective. You can change everything in your life. Kind of sucks for being bullied about your sexuality. It happens. Thank you for the 99 cents. VFFA Euro cents. Thank you. What have you been up to during the whole pandemic? How did it change your life, and especially considering your animations? It's, I don't know. I mean, it ended up making me homeless for a bit, but I didn't experience homelessness. I just had to move. Well, I was worried that I was going to be homeless, so I wasn't experiencing homelessness, but I was confronting the possibility that that was going to happen. I was like, oh no, this is really going to happen. I'm actually going to be homeless. But luckily, very luckily for me, that did not happen. Thank you, Rowan. Okay, so what if you all just had an internal organ that forced you to fart every 15 minutes? Thank you, Finley, for that valuable bit of questioning of the universe. This is exactly the kind of questions I want to read. Not about questioning the people in power, not about questioning the things that keep us in destructive cycles of habits. I just want to know if there's an organ inside of you that can make you fart specifically every 15 minutes. It just kind of sucks you're being judged by your sexuality and also about how your lifestyle is. Yeah, well, yeah, that's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. I'm used to it. It does kind of suck. But, you know what? When I see people being mean, bullying, I know that it's sort of a reminder to me that you can only bully if you know what pain is like. You can only hurt people if you know what being hurt is like, otherwise you wouldn't be using it as a weapon. And so it's almost like an attachment to the first time you got hurt. It's like you're honoring the first time you got hurt by using it all the time to hurt people. Because you need a point of reference for what hurting feels like. And so this attachment to hurt, I know being a bully doesn't necessarily mean that you're just completely obsessed with pain or self-pain or whatever, but you are still honoring this part of you that can't get over the fact that you got hurt a long time ago. You know, you need everybody else to feel it. And so, I don't know, that kind of runs through my mind sometimes when I see bullies. Sometimes I do want to throw hands, but sometimes it's not that simple. Sorry for the no modding on my end, my internet keeps cutting out. No worries, Connor, no worries. No worries, Guto, no worries. Your content always makes me happy every time I watch it. It's kind of like a coping mechanism for helping at school and doing online. I have two friends who are kind of like the counselors. Man. I'm sorry to hear that school kind of sucks. I'm glad that you're at least finding something good in this crazy world. What are your opinions of owls? They're quite good. Hey, Indy. Hello. How you bung? You doing good? I'm doing quite good. Keep leaning forward though. I'm a dummy. I'm a silly dummy. I keep leaning forward and hurting my neck. Hey. I was bullied, so I became a bully. A vicious cycle. Me too. I was a bully in middle school. I was kind of a day walker. Like I went in between the nerds and the bullies. But I would bully people who I thought were mean, who deserved it because they were mean. But it was still bullying. Confinement as a therapy substitute. Don't do that. You might be able to resonate with it on a mental health level, but it is not the same as therapy. But if you're very good at finding therapy and everything that you do, then I'm not stopping you from doing that with my show. I like to think that the show would probably have value on that level. But the only reason I would say don't do it is because you could be an impressionable kid, somebody with a child's mind who might interpret it in a way that has not been experimented in your own life on a safe level yet. Color your hair to white, badass. Thank you. Are you wearing makeup? You look very nice tonight, my friend. Thank you, Indy. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm feeling nice. I'm here to get my vibe checked. Hey, Lenny, what's up? Tell me how you feel right now, Lenny, and I'll let you know if you pass the vibe check. I'm sorry, Template Haywood. That's just the way it is, isn't it? There's the Batman in the middle school bullying. I was. Yeah, man. Man, what a life. Terabyte, you're gonna have to be patient, buddy. Stream in a second. I just want to say that I really love my boyfriend. If you're listening, Orion, I love you with all my heart. You make me so fucking happy. I think about you all day. Alright, I'm being too gay. Alright, everybody, if you're in the Patreon, I'll probably be popping into the Discord in a second when I watch a movie or something. That'll be nice. That'll be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, that'll be nice. So thank you all for joining this stream. It wasn't a particularly busy one, but it wasn't stressful or annoying. It was quite good. Do you need to work on my posture though, for fuck's sake? Shit. So much like mental health is ruined because of bad posture. It completely fucks up oxygen flow in your back all the way into your head, and that's incredibly important for your brain to function normally. So I really need to keep that in mind. I'm just so used to leaning forward, I have no idea why. Maybe I need to put spikes on my table so I don't fucking lean forward. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Have a good morning, evening, or night. I love you all. Hare Krishna. And see you next time. Goodbye.